With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu. At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Build a polished wardrobe that shows you stay you wherever you go with Mack Weldon. Use code MAC25 for 25% off your first order of $125 or more at MackWeldon.com.
If you love entertainment, current events, and Hollywood, don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators. Today, we have a special guest.
My name is Anna Vilhete.
Beautiful. Welcome.
Yeah. Was that good?
Yeah, no, that was great. It's beautiful. I love it. You nailed it.
Thank
you. So I really I love going back to the beginning. I always say the beginning kind of charts our trajectory in life, like our little habits that we pick up along the way, kind of somehow follow us into our adulthood. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was that like, and kind of how did you find your way into doing the things that you're doing now?
As a child, I used to. So I was born in Angola. So I think my first memories are of the house we used to live in. I call it a house, but people may call it something different. And I recall playing with other kids of a similar age, slightly older. I was probably one of the youngest, if not the youngest child back then. And I remember the ground, the African ground is so different to Europe or even the US, is so red. A ground is so red. And I used to be fascinated. I'm one of those individuals. I like to stare at the moon and look at the floor a lot. So then, and the moon there appeared to be closer and bigger. But then again, I was a child, so that's when I used to stare out the window when I was a child from my cot. That's one of the earliest memory. But yeah, it's I call my mom going to the market to sell clothes that she used to bring on from Brazil, and I had a friend which I would love to reconnect. I don't know. I probably won't recognize if I see her, but yeah, that's sort of, you know what? I felt really happy and
Yeah.
at peace as a child back then. I suppose when you don't know what your adults are thinking or do or worrying about, you just get on, and you just wake up in a day and just get on with your day as if yeah, I was very purposeful when I used to get up and go outside to play. I recall my mum saying that my neighbors always used to be, "Where is she going? What is she? Why does she always feel like she's got to do something in the morning?" Um, and then from there, we moved to Portugal again as a child. Yeah, memories slightly less happy, and
Okay.
more of, I suppose, of growth, of realizing what your surrounding is like.
Mhm.
And because I was in a country, which was a European country, where in the area there was, most people looked like me, but once I exit that area, I start to see actually people look different and they live different as well. So yeah,
Wow. So I bet that was an adjustment. I was like, well,
yeah. it's like questions start to be asked, or start to thinking, oh, maybe I wish I was in living the same lifestyle that they do, and they look like they have a nice comfortable life. But I was back in the area, it's like you're back in a bubble. Everyone looks like you, and everyone in the same conditions, and you just, it's just, yeah, you sort of go back to it and you forget a little about the real world.
I love that. So so when did were you always this like big thinker, big like I because the things that you're doing now are just tremendous.
Thank
Inspiring change and just with what you're doing. Did you always see that this was the direction that you wanted to go? Like, or when did you kind of fall into that?
I feel like I always had an innate ambition.
Mm,
I always wanted to be, I felt like I was meant to be here for a reason, right?
mm-hmm.
From a young age, I always felt like, there's something else I need to be. This isn't this whatever I'm leaving right now, whatever situation I'm in right now, this isn't how I'm gonna end. There is no way. So that I always had that. And I remember recalling that when I was about 10, 10-ish, 9, 10, I was remember telling my mom, I'm gonna take care of you when I grow up. I'm gonna
Oh,
be I used to be like, I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna give you money every month. I used to say, I'm gonna have a maid at home. I don't have to do the cleaning in the house because I know exactly where I'm going. I suppose when you grow and and life hits you sometimes, you start to think, oh, maybe this isn't my path. But
right.
as a
Yeah.
child, values too pure, and I suppose a child is the purest form of humanity, right? And at that point, I felt more certain about my destiny than ever before my whole life, uh,
Mm,
ever again, to be fair. So, um, and I'm so grateful that whatever direction I've taken has taken to the path that I feel truly content with what I have done so far. But I still feel that this isn't. I haven't even scratched
the
the
surface, huh?
surface. I think so much more
I
I
love
want
that.
to do. I think this is a beginning of something bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gosh, I mean, you have so many endeavors and things like what was things that just reading your bio. I mean, like, holy moly. First of all, how do you know? Okay, like
Okay.
focusing on one thing when you know, like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I want to focus on this business. Like, how do you know that that's what you wanted to do? And like, how did you get into it? As far
Yeah.
as like,
So one of my main businesses, Alium, and I I used to be so I sort of fell into an industry. There's a time of my life that was really uncertain. I didn't know where to go and where to be. So I was off work for about 6 weeks, I recall. And just being off work and not having sort of something to do was driving me absolutely insane. So then I used to apply for so many jobs, and there was this job that I just looked at it. I was like, I've never done it before, but it looks like I can do it.
Mhm.
I've got the experience, I've got the skills, I've got the education. Surely it cannot be that difficult. And it was a compliance officer for a small recruitment company. And then they were like a small consultancy for construction. And then I got there after 3 months. After 2 months, I was ready to go. I said, this isn't for me. And
Mm,
it was the first job I grabbed because I was sort of at that point desperate for a role. And then I quickly found another role paying me double. And then when I got that role, I felt this is it. I want to
mm,
stay in this sort of role in this industry. And then I suppose because I had sort of the innate entrepreneurship in me, it was just a case of learning, um, the insides and out of establishing a business, which I already knew. I've learned those skills through the roles I had gone through. And then by the time I got to the third company, I had a willing CEO, and he happens to be, well, they were ethnic minorities, and
okay.
those are the guys that sort of gave me hope. It was like, oh, so if you guys did it, I can do it too. That
Right.
was the feeling I had. But then when I left that business, there was, honestly speaking, there was a point I was thinking, should I still go forward with it? Should I still do this. And I randomly met this guy on LinkedIn. I applied for a role of CEO. And
Mm,
I have never been a CEO before, but I thought, mate, if I've done head of operations, I can do CEO. And
absolutely.
that's what but it was like, even if the Boston syndrome kicks in, I always tell people still go with it, always say yes.
Hmm.
Um, so then I spoke to him. He flew from Germany to meet me face to face. He was German, and I worked with him. We sort of had a dinner, and from that moment, we're like, let's work together. I worked with him for about 3 weeks, and I thought, this isn't working. This isn't going to work. And he understood, and we sort of parted ways. And then I was, in a crossroad, thinking, should I go back to employment or should I really start my own business?
Mm,
I started. I was like, you know what? If anything happens, I can always go back to employment. If anything goes wrong, or hopefully doesn't, but if it does, I, I'll go back to employment. I think the thing about me and what I learned about being born in situations that I was born, or the changes I've had in my life, it always prepared me for failure. So I am not afraid to fail. I don't like
mm,
it. I hate it like everybody else, but I am open to it. I'm prepared to
right.
it. And if it happens, I just have to sort of, I think, let's just move on. It is what it is, and just try something else, try something different. I never felt I need to give up. It was a case of, maybe this isn't working, maybe I need to try something else. Maybe this isn't, you know, so it worked. And
Hmm.
I think the law firm that I've opened this year recently, I just feel that sometimes when you knock the door, you keep knocking doors and those doors do not open for you,
Hmm.
and maybe it's a sign that you should just create your own door.
Yes.
And
I love that.
I was in a network event yesterday, and everyone was like, oh, how do I get into law, how do I do this? And we had like people from America that came down from
Hmm.
Chicago and different areas, and we had people from the UK, and then these lawyers are all on the panels when they work with huge law firms, and they were like, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. And I wanted to get up and say, not everyone's going to go, not everyone's going to get into those doors. And
Right.
it was a black network event. Let's be honest, we live in the UK,
Hmm.
and is a multicultural country. Even though there are opportunities, but not everyone's going to be able to go to through the same doors. Why are
Absolutely.
we fighting for these doors? Let's have our own table, our own doors. And this is what I
Yes.
sort of admire about Atlanta, and it makes me it's so fascinating to me. And because also I've listened to Tyler Perry,
Hmm.
why we keep pushing to get through the same um on the same tables as other people. It's
Yep.
okay. It's okay not to get in. We just
Yeah.
have to accept sometimes that it is an opportunity that God has given us, or we're also gifted and good enough to create our own club.
Hmm. Absolutely. I 100% feel that with every fiber of my being. What you
Yeah,
just said
I
about
get
creating your
so
own doors.
passionate about it as well. But I think that we need to be more creative, and sometimes create our own clubs, and invite maybe to enable people to for us to be able to give opportunity to others that look like us.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yes.
and not
And
just
that's
about
how change
coaching.
happens, though, right? If we do that.
100%, 100%. And yeah, so instead of constantly saying let's mentor, no, let's sponsor, let's do
Right.
more. Because now we've got the power to do so. But how are we supposed to do that if it was dependent on someone else to decide who comes in through the door? If you create your own
Mm,
door, then you're just able to say, no, this club here, you are accepted, we're all equal, everything, we will figure it out. We don't know, but we figure it out like everyone else figured it out.
absolutely. Absolutely. Gosh, there's so many things I can ask you. Oh my God. Okay. So you create like, oh, first of all, your business, you started with the company and you achieved an impressive amount of money, right? And then it didn't just escalate it, right? I think I read something what 10 million something past that or whatever. Were you surprised at how much you achieved within this company?
Yeah, I was.
You said yes. I love it.
I was surprised. I was as shocked as everybody else.
Yeah.
But then to be fair, it didn't sort of sink in for a long time.
Really?
Uh, because I was always working. To be fair, I just
Mm.
finished working about 20 minutes ago because I knew I had this call with you.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
I was always, no, I was always working. So when you constantly working, you don't sort of realize, you see the outcome slowly. You see that, not slowly, actually, it was quite fast. So it was so fast that I didn't have time to actually digest it all. And at the same time, I was studying my master's, my MBA at night. So during
Nice.
the day, I was working. During the night, I was studying, and it was during COVID. So I really, other than going to the gym, it was just get on with it and then becoming successful. And obviously dealing with the business on a day-to-day basis. But I realized how much I've had when I start losing it, because when the business started to sort of settle in, I was like, oh, this is not growing as fast as I'm used to. Why isn't it growing? I wanted to grow. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to become 20 million. And my view was like, if I got 10 million quickly, I'm sure I'm going to get 20 to 30 to 40 million.
Hmm.
And then that's when you realize actually to get to those levels, you have to put in slightly more structure and be more
Hmm.
organized and have a different, you have to have more of the CEO rather than the manager or the driver. You have to slightly be more strategic. But those are the lessons sort of I've learned through the journey, which I'm grateful for. I'm really grateful for my journey right now, because I think it's what it needed to happen in order to get me ready for the next level. You know,
Absolutely.
sometimes you
Absolutely.
feel like it's there's I just feel like I'm at a point where I feel there's going to be something huge coming. I don't know what it is. And in 5 years' time, we'll probably catch up again, where she will be like, so did it happen? I was like, yeah, it happened. We'll see. But yeah.
I'm
Um,
sure it will. No
yeah.
doubt about it.
I
Uh,
didn't realize, just to answer the question, the summary, it was a case of when people were like super impressed, I was like, why? It's okay. And then I started comparing it with other businesses. They were like, no business grows that quickly. It's not in the industry. And I was like, oh, then I must have been a bit lucky though. I have to recognize there was some level of luck there, surely.
mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean you're just good, I mean.
I think I think opportunity met skill and a bit of a
Absolutely.
sprinkle of luck, and was the right time, the right combination, and boom, it was magic.
It's magic. Yeah. Yeah, I do believe in, going like when opportunity does come, just go for it, even if even if you're afraid and you're not really sure about it. I
Yeah,
think it's always good to just say yes to those opportunities because you never
yeah,
know what those doors will lead to. Um, I love
absolutely.
what you said earlier about just, creating your own door. I feel like
Yeah,
that is so important within I think just within our community for sure. Um,
100%.
because because I feel like every every year we see this whole I don't know, I try not to watch the news, but like stuff like, oh well, we need to get some opportunity, like we're gonna march and we need to have the door open, we're gonna open the door for Hollywood, and not just Hollywood but just anything, just we need this
Yeah,
happen,
yeah,
we need this change. And it's like we have a lot of powerful, you know black and
yeah,
brown people. We can just
yeah,
start it ourselves.
yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard for people who are already established to start something and create a, like, like a lot of the you see these actors are like, well, they're trying to get into Hollywood, or they're even if they're in Hollywood already, they're like still fighting for jobs, and it's like you are already established. Why don't
Mm,
you and Denzel or this person make a studio? I don't
mm.
understand it.
Acceptance. We want to be accepted and be seen as equal. When we feel that if we are in a different um, playing field, let's say that um, it's like if you play, I don't know, soccer,
Mhm.
and but you didn't and you're not sort of on the NFL, you're not as good. Even
Ah,
there's
I
a
see.
complete different, do you know what I mean? It's like you
Gotcha.
could be at the same level, you could be making the same money or even more within that community, but if you haven't been accepted by those that you deem to be big, because that's how we grew up, right? You see on TV, who
Mhm.
were the actors on TV, who
Right.
were who were the powerful individuals, who are the billionaires, most of the billionaires. What
Right.
how do they look like? And if you're not accepted on that table, then perhaps that's why we feel like it only validates if we are there, where
Wow.
we've seen other people come, that done it before us. I think that's what it is.
Wowzer. Yeah, we have a lot of work to we have. A lot of work to do. I have a fun question that I love asking, and there's no wrong answer, but the three levels of influence, right? Money, power, and respect. And if you could choose only one, which one would you choose and why?
Money, power, or respect? Hmm. I'm here thinking, I think money, power, respect. Potential power.
I like
Yeah,
that.
power. I think power. Because I was going to say respect, because I think there's some things that you can do for money that removes your respect and integrity, right?
Right.
But definitely power, because with power, it would instantly come surely some money. And I suppose even if respect is fictitious, it still comes a level of respect there. And I think with power, there is more power for you to help others, which is, I think, is the route I really want to take seriously. So then you have the power to be able to open more doors or create more doors and enable more, or even help others that really need us, and in different countries and in different areas, especially children. I've got a bit of a soft spot for assisting children. Not to say
Mm.
that I wouldn't help anyone else, but children for me is so vital that we take care of them. So that would be definitely power.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, they're the future, and
Yeah.
it's so important to, instill the right principles and hopefully they get, become successful and do great or better things than we did, leaving behind that, since
Hmm.
we're here. So absolutely. That's a great answer. I like that.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
did you said it? What did you say before?
Well,
Okay.
it's funny. I say money.
Yeah. I think I would have said money, but I think in power, power comes money. I think I don't.
Absolutely.
If you think about any powerful individual, do you think of them being without money? No.
No, I don't think so. I just think that with money in this world that we live in, it takes money to have any type of influence. I don't need respect from anybody because, like,
True.
either you respect me or not. Who cares, honestly? It's like, um,
Yeah.
and I think respect is like the noble, answer to say, but I think
Yeah.
is it really reality? Like if it really comes down to it, I think at the end of the day, money does, you can actually move the needle and actually change things because in this world, it's like it takes money to do anything, you
That's
know.
so true. That is so true.
But power is great too.
Yeah, I thought power. Every powerful person I can think of have money and have respect of some sort, or treated with respect, even if it's just not quite. It may not. They know whether the respect is genuine or not. So,
Mhm,
but there's a level of respect that people, when you write the magazines or you read them on newspaper or see them online, there's a level of respect. There's certain lines that are not never crossed. So
mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved your answer. And yeah, I usually get respect on like a lot of people say respect. And I'm like, is that really true? Okay, sure, we'll go with that. I love that you focus on diversity in the workplace and which is super important mission, right? And so
Yeah.
like, specific strategies like do you believe companies can adapt to create like, truly diverse, inclusive environments?
Um, I think there needs to be more. I think we need to follow in Europe what you guys have in America, which is,
Mm,
that's something that I think in America, you're definitely ahead of us, which is conservation to diversity. And you take it more seriously than we do in Europe. In Europe, it's sort of became like a tagline rather than actually being the reality. But
interesting.
we have to be more conscious and saying, well, we need to be more conscious in picking ethnic minorities or females in the workplace. There needs to be a genuine understanding as to why we need to do it, in order to create a equal level ground for all of us to live in the society. But definitely, I would say the best way to do it is to make more effort. Look at, you guys have quotas, right?
Right,
And
right.
we need to sort of adopt a little bit more of that. Maybe perhaps slightly more sophisticated, where we still have good quality of employees, or workforce, but having into consideration, let me give more opportunities to those that perhaps wouldn't have the opportunity if we don't do these things, and try to create more equality in here.
Abs-
So,
Absolutely. No, for sure. Is it not many women? Do you like that you I mean, in the work field that you're in, do you not see that many
No, no,
really? So
no.
it's mainly men.
Yeah, it's definitely dominated by males. Even
Wow.
yeah, it's a big deal that, in my office we've got 50-50. Typically
Hmm.
it's 50-50. I suppose sometimes it goes a little bit lower, but it's 50-50. It's so uncommon here. It's maybe, I don't want to give percentages, but it's very, very, very rare.
Wow.
And
Oh,
is an industry dominated by males. Worldwide, not just in Europe, but worldwide, in the US as well. So there needs to be
wow.
slightly more awareness maybe of the things that we can do as females. Um, but we just need to be more bold, don't we? We just have to
Yeah,
all
that's it.
have to try. You just have to do exactly what they do, perhaps better. Um, but yeah, it's definitely not common in my industry. It's male dominated, and it's also not. So there's slightly more ethnic minorities because there's a lot of Indian consultancies, South Asians
Mm.
consultancies out there. Um, but for a black female to have done it as long as I've done it and have grown to the level that I've grown to and the levels that I intend to go is not common whatsoever.
Wow. Wowza. Wow, wow, wow. It's kind of like that, do you remember the movement of the Me Too movement and all the
Yeah,
women stood up? Yeah, and they were like, we're gonna stand up and we're gonna get these men out of Hollywood who are ruining these executives that are in the way. And and Oprah, they got Oprah up and she did a full speech and it was great. And it felt, women felt empowered. Women were like standing in solidarity together and like, yeah. And then crazy thing enough, it's like the next day they go right back to their male counterparts, their people that are their bosses. When really, I think change is like firing the men and hiring a woman in those positions if you have that power. And I feel like
yeah,
if so, it's kind of like, do we really want change or just sound good?
yeah.
Because I feel like when people get in these positions, they don't really actually do the things they say they're going to do.
Do you feel that there's also a level of comfortability? We're so comfortable with the way, or perhaps fear of change, drastic change at this point? Because I think women are just as capable as men. I mean, we all
Absolutely.
same sort of made humans, but I think there's a lot of work for us to do to get to a level where there's more equality for sure.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of work, but I think we are currently making strides to it. We've
Yeah.
made progress much more. Um, but yeah, I think that probably there's a level of comfortability from both parties, both women and males that are thinking,
Yeah.
I think the way things are, just, and drastic change may be slightly scary. Um,
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. You have a point. That makes
maybe that's just based on opinion. But I agree with you to go back after everything that we have trying to do and then go back and just carry on as normal. And you know what? The Me Too movement has it even been as active as it used to be? I think it's
No,
not.
it's not active anymore. It's like it seemed like it was a thing for the moment and some
Yeah.
publicity thing. And then it was like, and then it's poof, it's gone. It's like just like
Yeah.
all the other movements. It's like, what's
It's,
going on here?
yeah. It's so true. It's just I was thinking that was the last time I even heard of it. And I was thinking of that this week. What happened to the Me Too movement?
We have no
Um,
idea. It's fabricating, I guess. I don't know.
you think that it just came as a trend and then it's gone and we all just carry on with life as normal,
Yeah,
forgetting.
I think that's with everything, right? I think that's, it goes to anything that we're trying to protest or stand up against. I think everything that we see that it's good for the moment. Everyone's like super excited in their emotions, like, yeah. And then it just somehow fizzles out and then there's on to the next thing. It's like people forget. So
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's something that we have to constantly talk about. And
yes,
I'm in women in film,
yeah.
uh organizations and trying to create opportunity for women. And I love men. I love men. Men are great. but but I just think women, like you said, are capable of doing great things too. So, just not for
Yeah,
us. What
yeah.
advice would you give to someone that, a woman out there that's trying to, get into this business really trying to do what you're doing, become an entrepreneur, but leader in their field, what would you say to them?
Um, do it. Start. I think, I feel like most entrepreneurs, and I've read so many books, always say the same thing. And once I've done it, I sort of realize I have definitely, I couldn't agree more with that view. Start is a case of, that sometimes people self-sabotage because they plan too much. They think, oh, maybe not now, maybe wait 6 more months. I'm not prepared yet. I'm not prepared yet.
Mm,
And I've met a lady yesterday, actually. She wants to get into law and the bar. And I said, what haven't you started? She was like, I've done my first degree, and then I've done my master's. And I was like, you were ready when you finished your first degree. Why haven't you
mm,
started? She was like, oh no, I need more time. I don't think that's just basically imposter syndrome.
mhm,
Totally imposter syndrome. So I think for someone to get into my sector is not particularly difficult at all. It's a case of just learning the ins and out of the business and the business development side of it. Like any business, there's a business development side of it, and do it. Start. No need to plan. No need to create a mapping. Nothing. Just start. Take it day by day, and you do something better each day. And that's how I started. There was
I love that.
no magic, no source, and there's nothing to it. It was just a case of starting.
That's really it. And I tell people all the time, they're like, well, how did you do this? And how did you do that? I'm like, literally just start, like, and you figure it out along the way. Like, I don't think anyone
Absolutely.
actually has it together. You know what I mean? I think they just
No,
go for it.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know businesses. I've worked in businesses that were established for 20 years. Even sometimes huge organizations established for even longer, 50 years, and they've had, hundreds and hundreds of staff there, 3,000 people, and they
Wow.
still had to change things constantly because, things change and market change. And there was always, had a leader that was indecisive. She didn't know what she wanted uh, properly. So there is changes. I think there's a need also for you to be agile. You need to
Hmm.
be able to, if let's say you had a bad week, a bad month, a bad year, you need to start thinking quickly. How can you reverse that? How can you
Yes.
go back? What do you need to do? Like you said, there's trends. Unfortunately, we become in a world that is so dominated by social media and AI. Now we're also competing with AI. There's models that are AI. They're talking about, doing movies with AI and no longer
Yeah.
using actors and things like that. So
Yeah, it's
we need
crazy.
to be ahead of whatever is to come and always alert, always read the news. I would advise everyone to constantly read things because it impacts you, impacts your life, impacts your day to day. So definitely, um, yeah, start, be alert, be flexible,
Mhm.
and find the drive in the morning every day to get up. And no
Yeah.
matter how bad the day goes, the next day for you to continue to go forward.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for blessing our podcast today. Like,
No worries.
I am like, yes, like, yes, I love this.
No, thank you so much for inviting me, for having me here. I'm so humbled, to be
Oh,
with you, Meosha, today. I've saw some of your work on YouTube, and you're doing amazing.
well,
I can't wait
thank
to continue to
you.
watch you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot. And oh, where can people find you on social media to follow everything you got going
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. My name is Anna, which is ANA, just one N, and Vilhete, V for Victor, ILHETE. And I'm on Twitter, on LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn is probably one of my main social media, but yeah, Instagram or LinkedIn, I'm on it, and I'm pretty approachable. People have any questions, feel free to contact me and ask questions, and I'm happy to stay in touch with people. Might be
on.
slow in replying sometimes because I get loads of messages, but yeah, pretty good at replying.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure and come back anytime.
I will do. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.